everybody, Tracy Cornett alongside Marius Payton here in the News Now Center, WSMV4. It is a cold night out there and it is dropping, Marius. We are in for a major change.
Yes, we have first alert weather days throughout the week, but the culmination is next Monday, Sunday into Monday. We might see our first winter storm of the season.
And we might even see some snow tonight. So we're keeping an eye on all of that. But when we're talking snow, as far as what the projection is today for Monday, I mean, it could be almost a dozen inches.
It could be a lot of snow,
Yeah.
and I think Lisa Spencer's been preparing people for it. I'm not saying, I mean, she's not saying a dozen inches, but she's like,
Right.
hey, we need to be on the lookout because this can be pretty bad, and it's going to be overnight Sunday into Monday.
Right. Okay. A lot of schools impacted, all that good stuff. Another thing we've been watching that you want to prepare for, the illnesses that are happening out there. So in addition to a COVID resurgence, an RSV resurgence, and the flu really kicking it up, there is another illness out there. It's officially called a disease, even though it's a virus. Have you heard of this? The hands, mouth, foot disease?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know a lot about it. But you spoke to someone who has it.
Yes, I want to show you a picture. I talked to this viewer. He's from Mount Juliet area here in Nashville. This guy, Brett Wolf, he's actually a pro at the golf course, at Old Hickory Golf Course. He came down with something so wacky. Look what he woke up with.
Oh my goodness.
All of this on Sunday morning, he had 102 fever, chills, and all these red bumps that just kept getting worse and worse and worse. He got tested for COVID, strep. He got tested for the flu because he had a sore throat. All turned out negative. When these bumps kept getting worse and worse and serious blisters where he could not walk on them and touch anything, he sent pictures to his nurse. She diagnosed it, hand, foot, and mouth disease, Marius.
How rare is that? Because if I woke up with something like that, or my daughter or my wife, that would be so alarming to me.
Well, it is alarming and it was very painful, and it typically occurs in kids. So I did talk to him. I'm going to roll a little bit of this so you can see. I did a Zoom interview with him. He showed me his hands. This was 5 days later.
Gosh.
But he said this was such an improvement, right? Because he was able to get in a car and physically walk and touch a few things without being in pain. But as a golf pro, you can't walk the course with all that on your feet.
Or grab a golf club.
Or
with
grab
all
a golf
those-
club.
Yeah.
So I talked to this Vanderbilt doctor to see just how pervasive it is. This is Dr. Joseph Gigante, professor of pediatrics at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. He said it is very unusual in adults unless they catch it from kids, which is indeed what Brett thought.
So that's what happened. Was he around a kid that might have had this?
You know what? Over Christmas break, one of his coworkers brought their child. 10 to 14 days after they had these red bumps on their hands and feet. And the baby seemed just fine, and Brett was playing with the kid in the golf club, just running around playing, and he caught it that easily.
So this is disturbing, this picture here.
I know.
But let me get this right. So 2 weeks after the baby had these type of symptoms.
He was still contagious and spread it to Brett.
Now, did the doctor say how concerned we should be that this might be going around?
He said that RSV and COVID are still way more significant and more concerning, but it takes a lot of proper hand washing and all of that, just like we would for those to avoid it. But if you are anywhere near a kid or family member, avoid them like the plague if you can, because of how contagious it is. I also wanted to tell you this, Marius, that kids get sores and blisters in their mouth. In their throat. That's part of the manifestation of this disease, this illness. So little kids don't want to drink anything because it hurts too badly. They don't want to eat anything, so then they end up getting dehydrated. So if you've got a child with this, make sure you're giving them lots of fluids regardless, right? Because there's sores in their mouth. So anyway, that's the danger with children. With adults, it's mostly uncomfortable because this is kids under 5 that typically get this. But when the adult gets it, you can get it so easily just by touching a blister and then putting your hand to your mouth.
Wow, and I'm sure that's how it spreads. You know, you itch here, and scratch
and little
here.
babies are kissing them, and it's getting and anything near your. And there's also that whole risk of if you're breathing it in close quarters and those droplets get out, you can catch it that way too.
Now we
Highly
know
contagious.
2 people that the kid and this gentleman have it. Is it spreading? Do we know that?
It is not horrifically pervasive here in Middle Tennessee, but it is up there. And here's the thing that Brett was telling me, that all of these people that he knows and that his nurse family member knew that could not get an answer with this manifestation. There are so many doctors, it's not on their radar really.
Oh.
So they're being tested for this in clinics and other things. And it's only until one particular practitioner has been around it and knows that it was diagnosed as hand, foot, mouth that they even can give you a diagnosis.
So people could get this, go to see their doctor, and their doctor could be like, well, I don't know what this is.
That's exactly what happened to him as an adult. The doctor did not know.
Because like you said, it's pervasive.
Negative.
It's pervasive in kids, not adults.
Not in adults. So that's the kind of the takeaway, is to make sure that you specifically ask, could it be this? And then turns out they'll start researching and realize that is what it is. You know, and it's highly contagious.
But I also think we're in that time of year again. We hear that COVID, we hear RSV. It might be time again to, especially with the weather cooling off some, you know, we're expecting 20s, maybe teens in the coming days. Maybe put that mask back on.
That is really a great idea. Wearing those masks on, that is what I think is so interesting about the whole mask culture had never come to the United States. The Asian cultures have been wearing them all the time, even with a simple cold. That's just the polite thing to do. It's weird for us, right?
Yeah.
Now, don't you hope that people will go back? On the airplane is the only time I kind of feel normal wearing it. I don't really wear it out in the mall, but I know I should if I have something that's
if
really
you have a
contagious.
cough or a sneeze or something like that, and you feel that maybe I should wear this because I don't want to get someone else sick, especially in the workplace.
I was going to say, we see a lot of our photographers to this day and people in our newsroom who will wear it.
And they're out in the community, so they're seeing a lot of different people, and you don't know what.
To a lot of things.
We don't know what they could be coming back with. So they do all of us a solid, and you know, they kind of wear masks when they're in the building and when they're out of the building. So
it's the polite, responsible thing to do. So if you tossed out all your masks like I did, sorry, we need to go get some more. And usually you can ask a place of business or a clinic or your workplace probably still has them somewhere in the building, right?
It's a good idea, and that might help. Some of the diseases and the RSVs and the colds and the flus might help that to die down a little quicker this year.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot to talk about, in particular our weather with the First Alert Weather Days. It's 9:45. We hope to see you on TV.
All right, see you then.